Welcome to this tutorial on the cost report. The information given in this training is correct as of the date of publication. The most current information contained in this presentation can be found on the Noridian Medicare website and the CMS website at the links listed on this slide. Our first section will cover cost report submission. All Part A providers, with the exception of outpatient physical therapy providers and comprehensive outpatient rehabilitation facilities, are required to file an annual Medicare cost report. The purpose of the cost report is to have Medicare reimbursable facilities report expenses incurred to CMS to see if further reimbursement is to be made or if an overpayment has occurred. CMS maintains the cost report data in the Healthcare Provider Cost Reporting Information System known as HCRIS. Some of this data includes facility characteristics, utilization data, cost and charges by cost center in total and for Medicare, Medicare settlement data, and financial statement data. The cost report must be submitted within 5 months of the cost reporting fiscal year end or 60 days after a cost report reminder letter is sent to the provider by Noridian, whichever is later. Cost reports, if submitted electronically, must be submitted through an approved software vendor. Using outdated vendor software or an unapproved vendor will result in a rejection. You can find a list of approved CMS vendors on the Noridian Medicare website. You can find all cost reporting forms on the CMS website. There, they break down forms by facility types and fiscal years. Be sure you are using the appropriate form for your facility and the fiscal year you are reporting. We suggest and encourage you to file your cost report early because when it comes to cost report submission, we do operate on a first in, first out basis. So submitting your cost report early can help reduce the time spent waiting for your cost report to be accepted or rejected. Filing your cost report early will provide a grace period based on the number of days filed early to correct any issues noted if the cost report is rejected. If your cost report is rejected, it is treated as if it was never filed. And if you fail to submit a cost report timely, or if your cost report is rejected and not resubmitted timely, your payments are withheld and a demand letter will be issued. Please keep in mind that a late cost report must be reviewed for acceptance after receipt before the payment suspension is released. This could take up to 30 days from receipt of the late cost report. If you are submitting your cost report electronically, be sure that all electronic cost report, ECR, and print image, PI files are submitted utilizing a CMS approved vendor with current specification date, passing all Level 1 edits. Be sure to also include a certification page that would be Worksheet S with the exact encryption coding of the ECR file with a valid signature of a Chief Financial Officer, CFO, or Administrator. If you claim Medicare bad debts, your submitted bad debt listings must correspond to the amount claimed on the cost report. CMS has updated the bad debt listing for Inpatient Prospective Payment System, IPPS, hospitals for cost reporting periods beginning on or after October 1st, 2022. Be sure you are submitting Exhibit 2A rather than Exhibit 2. For hospitals claiming a disproportionate share hospital, DSH, payment adjustment, you need to include a detailed listing of the hospital's Medicaid eligible days that corresponds to the Medicaid eligible days claimed in the cost report, submitted as Exhibit 3A for cost reporting periods beginning on or after October 1st, 2022. For teaching hospitals with fiscal years beginning on or after October 1st, 2021, if you are claiming costs for interns and residents, be sure that the Intern Resident Information System, IRIS, data file is in the new IRIS XML file format, passing all IRIS data edits, including the file naming convention. For DSH-eligible hospitals reporting charity care and/or uninsured discounts, include a detailed listing of charity care and/or uninsured discounts that correspond to the amounts claimed in the cost report. The list should include information such as the patient name, dates of service, insurer, if applicable, and amount of charity care and/or uninsured discount given to the patient. This will be submitted as Exhibit 3B for cost reporting periods beginning on or after October 1st, 2022. And for providers claiming costs allocated from a home office or chain organization, the cost report will be rejected if the home office has not submitted a home office cost statement to the chain provider servicing contractor, the Medicare Administrative Contractor, MAC. Other items to submit include the working trial balance and crosswalk. We prefer for this to be submitted as a .mcp file, which comes from the Provider's Statistical and Reimbursement (PSNR) reconciliation report through the Health Financial System (HFS). Submitting as a .mcp file reduces time spent loading information into our software, which can lead to faster appeals and reconciliation timeframes. You also need to submit the signed audited independent financial statements, documentation for any reclassifications, adjustments, related organizations, contracted therapists, and processed items, as well as the PSNR summary report. And for children's hospitals, be sure to include a signed and completed attestation form, and acute hospitals need to submit their wage index documentation. Next, we will cover cost report rejections, common rejection errors, and what you can do next. Some of the more common issues that we see at Noridian which cause the rejection of a cost report include the authorized statement missing an electronic statement if you're submitting your cost report through the Medicare Cost Report e-filing MCREF system, using an outdated vendor or outdated software. Worksheet S is submitted without either an electronic or wet ink signature, title, or current date, missing files such as PI or ECR, or missing IRIS files for teaching hospitals. And for providers who are identifying no utilization on the cost report, missing a cover sheet identifying that will result in a rejection. More common rejection errors include damaged disks or flash drives for our providers who mail in their cost reports, having the wrong fiscal year beginning or fiscal year end. This is most common during a change of ownership, commonly referred to as a CHOW or tie-in. Filing consolidated cost reports with facilities that should not be included. This is most common for new rural health clinics and federally qualified health clinics. Submitted files being corrupted or unformatted. Noridian staff being unable to get the password for protected files. If the cost report is not submitted through MCREF and the files are password protected, we need to be able to reach a contact to receive the password. And home offices not submitting the home office cost statement. And more common rejection errors, missing or termed subunits on the parent facility cost report, encryption codes not matching. This can be caused by producing the authorized worksheet more than one time and submitting the wrong authorized worksheet with the electronic file. An example could be if the person preparing the cost report prints the worksheet S and leaves the program open. The program autosaves and changes the encryption codes, and those files are sent in with the worksheet that was printed. Outdated software may also cause this error. Also, in situations where Noridian is unable to run the electronic cost report file, this will cause a rejection. It's often the result of old, outdated software, or if the cost report does not pass Level 1 edits. For teaching hospitals, here are some common IRIS errors that we see. The database file name does not match the standard file name convention, which as mentioned previously is the PTAN_year-month-day.xml. Issues with invalid characters will cause security issues and a rejection. An example would be if you have a 30-line IRIS file and line 40 contains a character. IRIS will pick up that character, which will then result in an error. Text fields may not contain any of the special characters listed on this slide. And similar to invalid characters, IRIS searches the entire file, so a special character anywhere within the file will result in an error. Continuing on with more IRIS errors, the Social Security number, SSN, or Social Insurance number, SIN, of the resident must be 10 digits and begin with either the letter U or C. C for any Canadian residents, and U for American residents. The SSN and SIN information applies to residents only, not beneficiaries. Make sure that the Canadian SIN is valid before submission. To validate a Canadian SIN, it does involve a little bit of math. You will want to take the SIN and multiply each individual number by the appropriate multiply number as seen on the slide. If you get a 2-digit number, such as 12, add 1 and 2 together and it will become the number 3. Once you have multiplied each SIN number by the appropriate multiply number, add them all together. The result, if it is a valid SIN, will be evenly divisible by 10. So as you can see on our slide, our fictitious SIN is not valid as 41 is not evenly divisible by 10. More common IRIS errors include no matching provider or cost reporting period in the system for tracking audit and reimbursement, commonly called STAR, an inconsistent provider, fiscal year beginning or fiscal year end, overlapping resident rotations, such as duplicate date ranges for the same resident, the assignment date began before the cost reporting period's fiscal year beginning, or the assignment end date is after the fiscal year end, assignment dates must be within the fiscal period, and submitting old and outdated IRIS files with your current cost report. So what can you do if your cost report was rejected? The first step would be to take notice to all noted errors and correct them as to not receive a second rejection. You can then resubmit your cost report to us. And again, those rejected cost reports are treated as if they were never filed, so you won't see issues of rejection due to duplication. All correspondence will be sent to the STAR contact on file. Be sure that you are keeping your STAR contact up to date to ensure that you receive our letters and emails. To update your STAR contact, you can submit changes through the Provider Enrollment Chain and Ownership System, commonly called PACOS, or complete and mail the applicable sections outlined in Section 1 of the CMS 855A application for the type of change being reported. Our last section will cover amended cost reports, what they are, what to complete, and where to send them. Under limited circumstances, Noridian may accept an amended cost report submitted by a provider. Generally, the amended cost report will meet one of 3 criteria. 1. It is correcting material errors discovered after the filing of the original cost report. 2. To comply with health insurance policies or regulations. Or 3. To reflect the settlement of a contested liability. All necessary corrections should be included in one amended cost report. As a general rule, Noridian will not accept a second amended report filed for the same cost reporting year. For more guidance, please see the Provider Reimbursement Manual Part 1, Chapter 29, Section 293.2. When submitting an amended cost report, there are a few things you want to ensure are included. A letter stating what is being amended, as well as the reason for the change and the reimbursement effect. Adequate supporting documentation, which, if you are claiming DISH, will need to include an amended listing or addendum to the original listing of the Medicare eligible days. A signed Worksheet S certification page, which we recommend using a color other than black for the signature to avoid any doubt that it is an original signature and not a photocopy. For prospective payment system hospitals, if you have undergone an S10 audit and that audit was completed, include the S10 adjustments. Also, if the wage index desk review has been completed, include the wage index adjustments as well. All submissions with EC and PI files must pass all Level 1 edits, and if any of this information is not included, the amended cost report will not be accepted and will be returned to the provider. Amended cost reports should be submitted as you would submit a regular cost report. A documentation associate will then send the cost report to audit management for approval or denial. If your request is denied, rationale for the denial will be provided. For any questions related to amended cost reports, please email the audit manager appropriate for your jurisdiction. You can locate the correct email address by using the pathway outlined on this slide. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our tutorial. Continue your learning experience by referring to additional recordings available on the Noridian website or YouTube channel.